Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics, where I'd like to take a look at some older comics, talk about the creators, the stories, and the art, give a little bit of the history. Okay? Have a little bit of tea with that. Yeah, I don't drink coffee. I like tea. Okay, and what we're going to look at today is this little book right here. This is The Submariner, number 57 from 1972, Marvel Comics. I like that cover. You'll see it better a little bit. Okay. Submariner number 57, 19, it says 1973 here, but it was 1972, but it was from, this was from January 73, so it was actually issued about 3 months earlier in 72. And the title of this one is In the Lap of the Gods by Bill Everett. Okay. And this, for the Submariner, he is Namor Mackenzie. He debuted in 1939 in Marvel Comics number 1, the first, which was the first book by Timely Comics. He was created by writer-artist Bill Everett during the Golden Age, and he was one of the top 3 characters along with Captain America and the original Human Torch. He is a mutant human hybrid offspring of a human sea captain and the princess of Atlantis. Now, the mutant aspect was didn't come about, at least mentioning that, until I think it was in the 70s, maybe the 80s. Probably the 80s when mutants became real big in Marvel. And as well as superhuman strength and his aquatic powers, he also possessed the power of flight via the miniature wings on his ankles. I don't know how those little tiny wings would have allowed him to actually fly, but that's neither here nor there. He's been portrayed as an anti-hero fighting against the surface world while defending the oceans and his Atlantean people. Since many of his people and an Atlantean city were destroyed by the Axis powers of World War II, he joined forces with other heroes to fight against the Nazis during the war. And hence, that's when he was retconned into becoming one of the invaders. Of course, he still fought them in the comics at times alongside both Captain America and the Human Torch. Now, Bill Everett, his creator, is from 1917 to 1973. So this issue was produced just about a year before Bill Everett died. And he was an American comic book writer and artist, best known for creating The Submariner, of course. He also co-created with Stan Lee The Zombie and Daredevil. He started in the art field by joining the advertising staff of the Herald Traveler, Boston newspaper, And he traveled to several western cities without luck in getting work on papers there before going to New York and working there and becoming an editor on Radio News Magazine and bouncing around at various other postings. After being talked into comics, he started doing work for Centaur Press. Then he went to Funnies Inc., which was a comics packaging company for comics publishers. There he created the Submariner. He served in the Army during World War II, where he met his wife. After the war, he settled in Nebraska, which is where his wife was from, and worked on Submariner again via the mail. At Marvel, he co-created Daredevil and also worked on the Hulk and Doctor Strange before returning to the Submariner, where he wrote and drew, and then after his health faltered in a smaller capacity until his death in '73. Okay. Get ready to hold your breath as we plumb the depths of the ocean with Namor, the Submariner. And here we are with Submariner number 57. Get a better look at this cover illustration by Bill Everett. In the wake of the war god, it says here. And this is a very rough copy. It's had some water damage and use and rereading. Cause I've had this copy for 50 years, and there you can tell right there. There's the grease pencil code that old Doc Sherwood used on all the comics and magazines to know when to take them off the stands. I wish he hadn't done that, though. But yeah, it's nice to know which ones are really old. The yeah, because it kind of spoils that female figure here. And I wanted to show you this. This is because it makes some references. Here is an earlier issue. This one happened to have the cover drawn by the great Gil Kane, but the interior art is still Bill Everett. Okay. But this one has more of his cousin Nita, Namorita, who is also a mutant and has a hybrid and has winged ankles like himself. But before we get into that, I want you to see this. This is a reprint from Atlas Young Men Comics, and this has, of course, the Human Torch, Captain America, and the Submariner. But I wanted, this is from actually reprinted from the 50s. And this is some very early John Romita art here on Captain America. But I want to show you even the ads are reprinted. Of course, they're all facsimiles. I wanted you to see, and this has also had some damage, water damage to it, kind of appropriate, because this is also done by Bill Everett. I wanted you to see some of his older stuff. Here you get a good, better view of Namor here, and you can still see. This is before his mature style, but you can still see, and it's kind of busy. His there you can see all his underwater stuff. Because he made it. The background's kind of busy, especially underwater with all the details and stuff. But I wanted you to see that before we get into this. I like this cover. It's the war god Ares or Mars, depending on which pantheon you're going by. These are two great figures here battling there while he's trying to save this female figure. So a lovely figure, and he just did some lovely, slightly stylized, but otherwise realistic. So busy, you can just almost feel the sheets of rain coming down and the waves splashing and churning here in this storm. It's Namor the Submariner. He sees spout of water, and he doesn't know what is this. It's like ominous portent. So this lightning is striking right there, and then in the lap of the gods, and still very, very busy. All the churning waters, and you see Namor flying around, and he sees this female figure on this rock emerging above the ocean. I don't know how far out to sea it is. It can't be too awfully far. And he comes down to check on this lady. And then there's suddenly a lightning strike and this flaming sword smashing into the rock, which startles Namor. And still very, very busy with the sheets of rain, these raindrops. But it's very nicely drawn. Of course, the sword very, very prominent, but it's a real nice Namor figure. You can kind of see the power in his body, and this very lovely, very lithesome female figure here, and some really nice. One thing I like in here is this really nice line work in the figures. I'll point that out later when we have better, you can see it better. And he says, "What's going on? What's that sword?" And she says, "That's no sword. It looks like a shattered piece of meteorite." And Namor doesn't know what to make of that. What? I clearly saw a sword. And then we see, "Meteorite indeed. Thou hast many skills, fair wench, but far too few to delude the wit and wiles of Lord Ares, god of war." And this is up in the clouds somewhere when you don't see him. So, but we see him. We as the readers see him as the horned helmet, as Ares was known for. Ares on Mars. And another flash of lightning, and Namor's talking to the girl, and she's changed. She's not quite the same girl. She's wearing a bikini, and rather than that little skirt. And he grabs hold of her and flies her to the mainland. Later in the shelter of a darkened pier. And the visual storytelling here is very good, very clear. And you can clearly see what's going on. You can really see his stylization in here in Namor's face and in the girl's face. Very, very cute and lovely. Really, really nice work here. His mature style. Then she takes off, runs off to go home, and he's contemplating what something more is going on here. Then we cut to his cousin Nita. She's known as Nita for short, but her name is Namorita. And she's painting posters for a picket signs for a protest, an anti-Vietnam War protest, which clearly places us right at the height of the Vietnam War era and the protests. And she is currently a college student, and she is staying with this lady here. What is her name? I've forgotten. An old friend, Mrs. Prentice. And then they get into an argument here over the protests. Now, even though she's an older lady, just see how lovely he makes her features. Nice detail in all the background, and there isn't a whole lot of background there. But he did a good job with that. And then we see, and this is when they get into an argument because there's a protest going on outside right now. And then with the cops harassing the protesters, and they're on opposite sides here. Where she says, "Well, the police are just there to make sure it doesn't get out of hand and keep everything peaceful and to protect them," while the protesters were just there marching and protesting until the cops weighed in with billy clubs. And as we may have seen happened many times with war protests at that time, if you've seen some of the old documentaries and old news footage. And here another good image of Nita's very lovely features, and you can see the nice line work in her face and the hair, and again, nice background. And here's something on. Then the lady, Mrs. Prentice, points out something here in this that's in the newspaper, and very nicely detailed, and for just a newspaper page. It says, freak accident sends teacher's car through guardrail on Ocean Boulevard, body not recovered. And it turns out this is let's see, what's her name? Does it give her name? Yes, Victoria Starr is her name, and she is one of Nita's teachers at the college. And because in their argument she'd been mentioned, and she was one of the leaders of the protest movement here. So she says something's not right. So she uses her little, I guess it's a magic little earring that she has, and Namor has another one with which she can contact him. So she contacts him, wants him to meet them so they can investigate this. There's the site of the crash. See, just the silhouette works very well there because they're backlit, and you can still see the roiling of the ocean as it crashes there against that ledge, and where the car has gone through the guardrail. So Namor, not realizing at the time that this is the same young lady, because he showed him the picture that he had saved earlier, but this takes place after that. She's gone missing after that, and he looks all the way he puts all the indicate the water and the shading and everything, but you still see the figure in good clear color. And there's a dolphin there, and the dolphin is, what's going on? It's pestering him. Well, he finds the bikini that he saw the young lady in earlier, and the dolphin is still pestering him, so as if he wants me to follow it. So he follows it back. No, it's a massive rock. No, it's an island. And the dolphin flashes up, jumps out onto the dry land. So he wants to save the animals, and it'll die here. He grabs the dolphin and is about to throw it back in the water when suddenly it transforms into the first lady he saw. And she reveals herself. What's going on here? That she is the goddess Venus. But Ares keeps calling her Aphrodite. And again, very lovely. I mean, nice line work on Namor's figure there. Nice line work in her hair, her figure. And I think that little dress she's wearing is just so cute. And how Ares must be vanquished. And she needs his help. Now, there's one little thing that they don't mention here, but as a nice little thing is that during the 50s, Marvel had a feature of Venus, which was done by Bill Everett. So this is the return of a character that he had done in the 50s. And here on this land, this is some kind of not realistic, non-real land. This is representative. And this is a land which has just erupted, and there are people engaged in war on it. You can see it's kind of an old-fashioned representation of these explosions and the sound effects. That must not happen. Yet, what would you have me do? Together, we must lure Lord Ares into the sea. Then Ares appears. Desist, woman! You have betrayed me once too often. Because he wants Ares. Ares wants Venus, Aphrodite, and Namor has taken off and hidden away. And then just as Ares gets there, and Venus plunges into the sea, but Ares is right behind her and grabs her magic girdle, which gives her power of magical powers and love. And without it, he casts it aside, and without it, she has no power. And he again over him, and he is ties her up using seaweed, and now he is going to destroy her. Then she calls for Namor, and he plunges in, because in the water, Ares is not as powerful. So he has his, and in the water, Namor is at his most powerful. So they have an interesting battle here between the two. Some, again, real nice figure work, nice, very, very dynamic. I like the way that then Ares transforms into a shark, and Namor has to fight the shark. Very dynamic representation here. I really like all this. And when he gets the best of the shark, squeezing it until it starts to bleed, and transforms into a giant squid and engulfs him in black ink. Very nicely done here. Very nicely done. Then he transforms into a swordfish, and comes to attack. Namor gets the better of the swordfish, grabbing it by its sordid snout, and then Ares transforms back into his human form, and Namor is hanging on to the sword and Ares whirls him around and sends him, I would say flying, but he's in water. Then he comes up and is going to attack Venus. No! But Namor comes back just in time and whirls around at fantastic speed. And Namor had managed to recover the belt while Ares is dazed by that. Gets frees Venus, gets the girdle back, and she dons it, and then zaps him with her love power, and he is again enraptured and in love with Venus, the goddess of love. There she has the power over him, and Namor gets one last good punch at him. There's another beautiful, lovely face he did here. I love the line work in the hair. It's just a very, very lovely face. It's great figures here, and I really like that Namor is here in silhouette so we focus here on Ares. No, and she makes him stop the war, stop the fighting. And it comes to an end, and kablooey, then the whole continent is gone again. And they're back on the rock where he originally found her, and there's the sword. Grasp the sword, fair Venus, and return with me to Olympus. But she refuses to do it. She won't return to Olympus. There's work for her to do here on Earth. And so the sword fades away. And what the heck? Namor is dazed. Then Venus, no, it's the school teacher. Here we are again. And so he takes her back and sees Nita and returns her to Nita. And then later they go to the college, and he's got this shirt on so he doesn't stand out quite so much. And they're going to see the office because Nita doesn't believe the story that he told her until hear her initials on the door, her name on the door, Victoria Nutley Starr. All you need are the vowels to spell out the name Venus. Next, from the stars it comes. And that's the end of that story. And I'm glad I got this and this other one, because they're the only representations I've got of Bill Everett. Bill Everett's work. I think it's very nicely done, beautifully drawn, slightly stylized, but it's very, very dynamic, and it's just, to me, to my eyes anyway, a very, very pleasing interpretation of the character. and it's a lot of fun to read. Something you don't see as much anymore. There's few references to it, to this period in Namor's history. This is, and I think this is after all the storylines with Dorma and the like, and I really like it. This was, like I said, it was a bad cover. I had to tape it shut, and so that's all I've got of the Submariner. And as I've mentioned before, I served on a submarine, and people sometimes want to say we're submariners. And I say no. The submariner has pointed ears and wings on his ankles. A submariner is a person who served on a submarine. And that's just my little funny thing that I like to say. Point out the difference. Because the submariner has a hyphen between sub and mariner. And submariners are served on a ship. Okay, that's all I've got. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, and subscribe. Share it with your other friends who like this kind of, comic book friends and superhero people. It's a lot of fun, and thank you for joining me. And remember, comics are art.